What's the music on? What do you think this is, the funeral?
Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Last Episode podcast. Now, look, we have another episode of WandaVision that just dropped. Just dropped yesterday. It was interesting. It was good. It was, look, last week we talked about Ultron, Age of Ultron, the connection to WandaVision, its importance, appreciation, you know, all that good stuff that it deserves, that it needs, okay, that it's earned. But now, this week, we get a little piece of Ultron. Someone actually mentions Ultron. How crazy is that? Last week, we just brought him up. And then in the episode, they say his name on the very next ep. That's wild. But we had a great time on the last podcast. Try to bring some more energy to this one. Had some bad news that I found out last week on Friday night that affected me a bit. A cousin of mine passed away. Not going to get into any details. I really don't know many details still. But it happens, man. Unfortunately, this life, people are going to die. It sucks. But we have to keep trucking on. But I digress. We're here for fun, okay? That's why I do this podcast. I said before, I'm not here for the Marvel diehards that have been reading the comics since they came out, since the very beginning. That's not me. You know me. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! And I'm here to hold it down for the MCU fans that are just here to watch and enjoy the films, the content, the TV shows that they're putting out. And that's how we get down. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get it cracking in some of this WandaVision stuff. Okay, so in the beginning we have the intro. Okay, the intro is being different every damn episode. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing. I like it. I appreciate it. It's cool. I got like strong Brady Bunch vibes, but as it went on a little bit more, it seemed a little unfamiliar. Hey, I didn't watch a ton of 70s TV shows. Okay, sue me. All right, I was born in '88. I got some. I didn't get them all. Okay. Now, this episode posed more questions than giving us answers. And at the end, I'm going to rattle off through some of that. I want to tease a new segment, right, that I'm going to have at the end of the show for the next 6 weeks. It's called 6 for 6. Okay, so it's on our way to 36. And what I'm talking about is the MCU TV shows and movies that we've seen thus far. I've compiled a list of what I think, okay, are my favorites from worst to best. I took time to do that. I'm writing out some explanations that I'll be posting somewhere. I'll set up a blog of some sort. You guys can go ahead and check it out if you want to kind of read into my synopsis a little bit, but I'm going to give it to you here. So every podcast episode for the next 6 weeks, we're going to take 6 of the titles, talk about them a little bit, and I'm going to give you the order. Remember, we're going worst to first, and it's called 6 for 6, and we'll have a special guest, my brother, my little brother. I affectionately call him Young because he is my younger brother, and but you'll get to meet him later. And he's seen most of the stuff. He hasn't seen every single TV show that I've seen for the Marvel franchise, but that's okay. He'll still be able to give some good insight. He's a big film lover, so he sees it with a different eye than I do as well. Just because we're different people, we both love these things, and he just looks at it with a more critical, Rotten Tomatoes type eye. And you'll be able to hear that from him when I get him on the pod later. So it is going to be called 6 for 6 on our way to 36. And we're going to start it today. That's going to be exciting. But back to WandaVision. Um, like I said, it posed more questions than answers on this episode, but it was still very interesting because we're learning more. Okay, so now I know last week I said something about, was it AIM, in terms of somebody manipulating this situation, right? If they were involved, it doesn't look like they are involved. Taking another look at the logo on the back of the beekeeper, it was another symbol for the sword. Um, Now we keep seeing that symbol pop up, and what is sword, right? If you don't know, because I didn't know, so I did a little research into it. SWORD stands for Sentient World Observation and Response Department. Okay. Now, it's a counterterrorism and intelligence agency designed to deal with extraterrestrial threats to the world, and it's based in space. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, that means they're the good guys, right? Okay. So they're the good guys. It was actually originally a subset of S.H.I.E.L.D. and introduced by the X-Men. Okay. Their relationship with S.H.I.E.L.D. strained a bit when Nick Fury departed, but they were still doing their thing. Their commander was Abigail Brand. That was her name. And there's some familiar characters in SWORD. And obviously, since it was introduced by the X-Men, some of those characters, and this is not all of them by a long shot, Beast, Spider-Woman, Cable, Magneto. Interesting assortment of characters that they had a part of that program, right? So hopefully we'll learn more about SWORD. I'm sure we will as the show continues. It seems like it has a lot of potential to give us a lot of information that we were not privy to, and open another chapter into the MCU world that can lead to God knows what. But it would be dope because I trust them. They've earned my trust. Okay. Now, we're 3 episodes in now. So, the pace of the show can start to come into question a little bit, right? How is the pace of the show? To me, the pace of the show is fine because we're already starting to get to some of the gritty, right? We only have so many episodes, what, 8, something like that. Excuse me. So we're 3 episodes in. We got the color back. We have more mishaps going on that are making us question pretty much everything that we're seeing. And I mean, I know myself when I'm watching the episode, I don't know who to trust at all anymore. I'm feeling like I can trust Geraldine, but because she's the only one that kind of said something about the real world, you know. And Agnes, I thought I might be able to trust her, but I probably shouldn't have because she is kind of a fast, slick talking some bitch. You know what I'm saying? Not a bitch like that, but a some bitch. You know what I'm talking about, right? Um, Herb too. They seem to be in on it. They seem to be in on it, and you can't trust them. Um, though it was a little off-putting, interesting that Geraldine like backed off of it when Wanda started to challenge her. Wanda seems a little defensive of this reality, whatever that they're in, that they're trapped in. It looks like a trap on the outside. When we saw Geraldine get tossed, and we see the outside. It looks like some sort of encampment, entrapment. You got all the military personnel on the outside. I couldn't see any logos on the military personnel, but it feels like, okay. And this is one of the reasons why I say there's more questions, right? The commercials we keep seeing are about Hydra, Strucker, Sweden. We talked about that whole thing, and but then we keep seeing SWORD pop up, right? The logo for SWORD. So it feels like something is at play there in terms of battling one another, right? Maybe SWORD is trying to penetrate this thing to save them But if that's the case, what took Geraldine so long to start saying something? When you get inside this structure, is there some sort of, waves, or I don't know what the hell you would call it, that affects people and makes them kind of get caught up and lost and wrapped up in this world? Um, it's it's just kind of crazy. Um, Wanda, like I said before, seems kind of protective of it, which is confusing in that regard because she seems to be she's the most powerful one, right? And Vision seems more oblivious, where Wanda has to keep reminding him, "Hey, you're oversharing. Don't say that." So it feels like the balance of them knowing something's off, but kind of going with the flow and living in their little love bubble of domestication is, I mean, it's fascinating to watch, honestly, because they play the roles so well. Let me just say again how great that both of them are doing in these roles. I fucking love it. They sew the roles so well. They have the whole vibes going great from like the feel of what they're going for during the time, in 60s, 70s, all that. The Doctor staying true to the misogyny that was like blatant and in your face back then. Not that it's gone away completely now, but with the whole, I describe it with the size of the baby with fruit to women so they can understand, like like she's stupid. Speaking of the fruit, I just wanted to point out that when Wanda got a little bigger, she turned around, she knocked two pieces of fruit off the table. Vision sped over and only caught one, caught the papaya, and made his little papaya papa joke. You know what I'm saying? It looked like an orange or a tangerine, whatever, that fell as well. And it just fell by the wayside. Like, where did that go? I guess they picked it up later, right? I don't know why he didn't catch both, but I just wanted to point that out. I seen it. Okay. Um, let's see. It is nice to see that Vision is starting to, or was starting to notice that something was off to a point where he started to say something about it. But then again, it flips back and they have the little rewind and then he doesn't say it and he says something completely different. And who has the power to do something like that, to affect reality in that way? Um, your powers were built with the Mind Stone. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, more questions than answers. Um, the protection of it. The stork that came through. The stork was a little interesting scene. He was all defiant. She was treating him like a stepchild that she didn't want around. But was it trying to signify that the babies were coming? We know what a stork is story wise. They're the baby delivery agency essentially. But it was a fun scene. I don't get its actual significance, but I enjoyed it because it was funny. And I've told you, if my entertainment is at a premium, at a high, then you've done your job. Because I misspoke when I said that my entertainment is at a premium. Essentially, I value that higher than anything else because that's why I'm watching. What the hell? Um, anyway, moving on. When Geraldine got tossed, who tossed her? Why did it take so long for them to toss her? They clearly didn't want her there. She's been there for a couple of episodes. Um, was it Wanda that tossed her? Because I don't know if you noticed, but when she landed, when she hit the ground, when she was tossed out, if you pause it for a second, you can see the residual energy on her body that, looked like somebody might have, hit her with some sort of energy wave that fucking tossed her. Um, and like I said, there was some like residual energy hanging off of her, and it looked like Wanda's energy. So does she actually have more control over the situation than we actually realize? I don't know. Why can they remember some things and they cannot remember other things? I don't know. What's the significance of that sign outside of the structure that said Westview home? It's where you make it. Is that supposed to be nothing and insignificant? Because I don't trust that it is. I don't trust anything. Why would I do that? I've been hurt too many times to trust pretty much anything I see, okay? When I used to watch 24 back in the day, they killed President Palmer. That was my guy. You know, I watched Game of Thrones just like y'all did. A lot of you did. And every other episode, I was like,
What the hell?
um, people were dying left and right. We didn't know who the main guy was. You know, Agents of S.W.O.R.D. Ward was supposed to be a great guy. He flipped the script and was a terrible guy. And like I said, it's hard for me to trust anyone. You just have to earn it. You just have to earn it. But anyway, those are my feelings on the WandaVision episode. I can't wait for the next one. And now we're getting ready to get into the 6 for 6. So get ready. Hey, listen up.
I'm listening.
If you enjoy the Last Episode podcast, don't forget to subscribe to the Last Episode podcast. Like it, share it. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram at JaLilWill, so you can interact with me. We can talk. You can let me know what you like and don't like about the pod so we can make it as great as possible. You can come here weekly and get your
spirits lifted.
Because you know how we get down. Enjoy the episode. Yo, 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 welcome back. It's time for the 6 for 6 on our way to 36, breaking down the and ranking the Marvel movies and TV shows from worst to first. I have my brother with me, Demetrius. I also call him Young, my younger brother. That's my guy. And like I said, he's just going to bring another viewpoint, a different style to the table when we're analyzing and talking about some of these movies while we're doing our rankings. What's up, Young?
What's up, bro? How's it going? How's it going?
Chilling, chilling. Thank you for joining me today on the pod.
No problem.
Yes, sir. So now the list is this is my list. Okay. So let's keep this in mind that this isn't a finite list of, certain characteristics that we're looking for necessarily in terms of some kind of grading system. Okay. I consider things like action, plot, and CGI, special effects, all of that. It's all encompassed with my emotions and my feelings about the shows. Okay, you with me?
It's not just for everybody to know. This is not my list. I don't want anybody in the comment section and none of that coming at me for this list. Is not my list.
That's
All right.
fair. That's fair. Now, one more thing before we get into the list. There's TV shows and there's movies. Now, the thing about it is that sometimes some people can consider that a little unfair because TV shows they get multiple chances, to build themselves up with multiple seasons. If one show only had 1 or 2 seasons, and you don't feel like that one really got a chance to get its legs, tough shit. All right, it is what it is. We're going by what we have, and that's what it has to be. Okay, so let's get started first. The very worst one to me, Inhumans. Inhumans was a TV show. It was only around for 1 season. It just wasn't good. The CGI wasn't good. They had like this fake Medusa. She had long red hair. It didn't look good on the actress. When it started kind of going crazy, it wasn't great. They had a big ass dog that was a part of it that could like teleport and shit like that. It I just wasn't convincing. Because I have so much faith in Marvel, I would have given the show a second season to see if they were able to, get its legs going, but it didn't get that chance. But so I wasn't really upset when that one was axed. Okay. Young, Have you seen Inhumans?
No, I have not. I saw the commercials for it and I said I'm gonna take a hard pass. It just didn't look good, and I just want to say I know like I know Marvel is a religion,
Hmm.
and I know everything that they come out with. Like, if you don't watch everything that they come out with, you're not a true fan or
Hmm.
whatever. And I understand those people that feel like that. But look, I'm not about to just sit through something that I know is gonna be bad just because it's got a stamp on it in front of it that I know. That's like me buying a Jordan shoe that I think is terrible just because it's a Jordan. I'm just not gonna do it. So I just went ahead and skipped out on that.
Okay, well that's also fair, and I'm not going to hold that against you. I want to be up on that timeline. I don't know if it's going to get legs, if it's going to get better, and I just don't want to miss anything. So that's kind of my feel when it comes to it. But I'm not going to begrudge you for feeling different. You know, uh, you saved yourself essentially. You saved yourself, and that's always good, not frowned upon at all. Quite the opposite. So let's go to the next one. The next one, okay. Before I reveal this next one, understand that this is something me and my brother have spoken about numerous times. Okay, there are movies in the MCU that he considers bad. Not good. I think that pretty much all of the movies are good, but there's levels to it. So other than Inhumans, everything else on the list I've enjoyed. Whether some of the shows, maybe a season or two fell off, and we'll get to those. But overall, there was an enjoyment factor there. So I'm not saying that all of this stuff is bad and horrible, but there has to be a pecking order. This is how it goes. So the next one on the list is going to be Captain America, the First Avenger. Okay. Now, this is just because essentially the rewatchability factor for me is at the very bottom of the MCU movies. It's my least rewatched movie. And I've watched pretty much all of them, three, four, five, six times. I love the movies. What can I say? Even some of the shows I've gone back numerous times and rewatched. Um, the action was a little too slow for me, and the character by himself, who is a small, skinny square who goes to a super strong square, isn't intriguing enough to me to move further up the list. Young, what do you think about the first Avenger?
I just don't agree. I mean, we're gonna get into some of the other movies later, but I don't know how you feel like that personally. I think that Captain America is a solid movie. I know some people that would rank it amongst the very best, but those are more the artsy type. You gotta understand that there's such a difference between the Marvel universe and then the movie goer, the movie buff,
Yes.
the people who watch a movie and they're watching for the cinematography. They're
Exactly.
watching they're watching for the steps. There's certain things for each and every type of movie that when you go through it, you go, and this movie doesn't have this movie doesn't have that. So I understand for you why the rewatchability factor wouldn't be there for you.
Hmm.
But I personally think that the story is a good one. I think that Chris Evans is grounded in his character. I think that they tried to, portray the world back then in a certain way. And I actually do think that they do a pretty good job of it. So for me, if I'm going to watch a movie, I would put on Captain America 1 maybe over something like um Thor 1 or a Thor 2,
Hmm.
just in terms of if I'm going to sit down and I'm going to really take in this movie and I'm going to piece together the story of the movie. I just find find myself more fascinated with it than some of these things that could just get a little too wonky with the CGI or try to do too much on the action end, and there's not enough levity in terms of the script.
Got you. Got you. Hey, look, another fair opinion, okay? And we're not here to cast any aspersions upon anyone's opinion. I think you kind of laid it out pretty well in terms of what their goal was when they made the movie, the setting, the theme, and so on and so forth. They did do a good job of in establishing a lot of those things. Just that rewatchability for me. I don't know. I just don't feel it like you do. And but it's funny you bring up the Dark World because that's actually next on my list. Thor: The Dark World. Um, it's the least of the Thor movies to me. The bad guy, Malik or whatever the hell his name was, it just wasn't that fun. Not enough charisma and not ruthless enough to be special. And a lot of times the bad guys really do make the hero movies. In this case, the one he didn't really. Uh, I put it above Captain America: The First Avenger though because I really enjoyed the dialogue and a lot of the different scenes in the movie, especially the ones with Loki and Darcy. She's one of my favorite side characters that doesn't really have a story of her own. Just think she brings a good comedic value to it, and I just love pretty much every scene that she's in. She's just a great side character. Um, so you would put Captain America: First Avenger as a better movie than Dark World, Young?
Yeah, man. I'm trying to find an elegant way to like describe Thor 2 to me, but I think it's terrible. I just I just
All right,
I
wait.
just don't think it's very good at all.
1 second too, because there's something that you said a moment ago that I meant to touch on when you were talking about the difference between Marvel and the cinematic universe, essentially. Just so you know, because you may or may not. This podcast is definitely slighted towards the people who are more MCU fans and not true diehard Marvel comic readers. There's a lot of us out there who have not read all of the comics and all that stuff, and we're just kind of watching a lot of the events unfold as they happen through the cinematic world. And that's who I tweet for. That's who I pod for. So just so you know the theme of that portion of it, please continue on your Dark World breakdown.
Yeah, I it's just rough. Okay,
That's all you got.
it's just a
That's
rough.
fair.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's just a rough sit through for me. I don't think it's particularly acted great. I think that the bad guy man is just so unmemorable at all, to be honest with you. The thing that Marvel does is that it almost saves itself in a way from having really bad movies because there's such a connection in the universe that
Hmm.
you still watch the movie and find little things connected to the other movies, or you'll take something and you'll be like, oh, okay, maybe they're going to play with this later on down the road. And so if it was like, say it was like a standalone movie all by itself and there was no connection to anything else, I would never watch it again. I just wouldn't.
Okay, okay, I feel you. I feel you. And it is at the, bottom portion of my list as well. So it's not, we're not far off in terms of what we think of it, in terms of its placement amongst the other movies. So basically, at the end of the day, that's how you feel about the characters, right? The bad guys.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Um, the next on the list is going to be Iron Man 2 for me. Okay. Um, I liked Mickey Rourke better than some people did, but at the same time, I do understand he still didn't have a bunch of charisma. he still wasn't extremely ruthless, although he did have a little gusto about him, about going in the public at the racetrack and shit, and just running up on Tony. Like that was kind of that was kind of Brody for him to kind of step out like that for his introduction. And hey, if you have a man that's that big and is that confident to be publicly sensitive about a fucking bird, yeah, he got a little swag to him. You know what I'm saying? He got a little swag to him that I can respect. Now, the story of why he is upset with Tony Stark, I feel like they should have put more into that to make me care more, because that I think that's the biggest problem with the film. Um, I just don't care about whatever happened with his dad, that he got banished and now he's sick and dying and whatever the hell you think that he should have been owed. You didn't show me enough of any of that stuff happening to make me care about his dad or any of that stuff. Like in Iron Man 3, we'll talk about later, we saw in the beginning how they kind of disrespected Killian like that, and left him out, hung him out to dry, and then you see him come back and he kind of, the little glow up that he had and shit like that, and it's kind of cool. I feel like we didn't get that in two. What do you think about his placement here?
I think you know where I stand on this. A lot of people don't. I think that Iron Man 2 is the worst of the movies. So if you thought I was harsh on Thor 2,
But we got
Iron
Black
Man 2
Widow.
is, yeah, but and she looked fantastic. Shout out to her. Um but I think that Iron Man 2 is just, it's just not a good movie, and I hate Mickey Rourke. I hate his accent. I hate his multicolored hair, his stringy hair. It's just not good. I
It
mean,
just don't do it for you.
he came off one of the best movies in a long time that he had made in The Wrestler, and he showed up and gave us this. And I was really excited because The Wrestler was a phenomenal movie. And so when I saw Mickey Rourke was going to be in Iron Man 2, I thought, that's going to be interesting to see how he's going to play this role. Uh, he just didn't do it for me. The bird didn't do it for me.
Oh, you
the,
weren't digging
the
the
only
bird.
the Oh no, I'm sorry. I just wasn't.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny to put in that he really loved this
Nah,
damn bird.
man.
Then they brought
Nah,
him a
man.
bird and
Not
he could tell it wasn't his bird. He's like, man, this ain't my damn bird. I was kind of entertained.
now that was disrespectful. Like I know that's not my bird. I know my bird. That's like that's like someone trying to bring you a new dog. Like I know my dog. I know my bird.
Exactly. Exactly. This isn't my first time. Okay. This is my first time. You trying to play me. And all you needed to do was bring me my bird. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, one job. Bring me my bird. Bring me my damn bird. Um, let's go to the next one. Cloak and Dagger. That's the next one on the list. Okay, we're now at number 5 on the list. Um, Cloak and Dagger to me was fun in the first season, kinda. Tandy and Tyrone were cool enough. The plot was intriguing enough, and the discovery of the abilities was fun. In the first season, it had some interesting characters, but surrounding them. But I didn't care for the development of those characters. Um, some of it at times felt like overacting, and there was some over dramatization at times. And the second season to me, like kind of fell off hard. I didn't find it interesting at all. Um, but a fun fact about Cloak and Dagger, I looked them up too. Their team affiliations, if you didn't know before, are actually the X-Men and Runaways in a team called the Secret Avengers. So I thought that was interesting, and they even once had a partnership with Spider-Man in the comics and all that. So that was just something I looked up and thought it was interesting. Thought I'd share on the pod. Young, I believe you have seen Cloak and Dagger. Um, I'm not sure about this if you've watched the second season or not, but you can tell me that. What'd you think?
I thought it was a solid show. Um, Again, I get sometimes I can get wrapped up in the over, I guess it just being too dramatic. The
Mm-hmm.
acting, sometimes it was a little dramatic. Sometimes it was dragging to me, but I do find myself rooting for Tandy and Tyrone. I think that they were solid characters overall. I just think that in some of these shows, particularly like a Cloak and Dagger, which comes out on Freeform or came out on Freeform, where it just didn't have enough financial backing to really flush out everything that it may have wanted to do. You could tell very early on that it was scripted and they said, okay, you have set amount of dollars, make this happen. And it wasn't something that was really pushed compared to something like a Marvel Agents of Shield, where it's on, what was that, on ABC, where
ABC.
it
Yeah.
comes out and it's got the big machine behind it. Cloak and Dagger is very indie in that way, where it's like we got these characters. We think that this can make for a cool story, but we're not going to put too much money into them because people don't really know them or have any real interest in them in the mainstream. So we're going to put this on freeform for our people who understand the comics, and we'll see how that goes. And I thought that they did a good job with what they have. The problem is that when you make a list this long, there's going to be shows or movies that are good that just fall deeper in the category, and higher up or lower on the list than some people may want them. Because if you're going to go maybe just TV shows, it could be solid on the list.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put something in the 30s of the 36 movies it shows, then it gets rough.
Hmm. Yes, no, I can definitely see that. I thought you made a great point too about the feel of it in terms of it being more of an indie vibe, because of its budget that was apparent that it didn't have that backing like a show on ABC on the network, on a major network would have. Like Shield, as you mentioned, those are some very good points, sir. Um, Last but not least, okay, because obviously we're going up, so it's better than the other five shows. So obviously it's not the least. Is Legion. Legion was a show that came on FX. It's not on anymore. I believe they've canceled it after the 3 seasons or so. Now, this show was actually pretty fascinating at first. In the first season, Aubrey Plaza was playing a character called Lenny. She was very entertaining. Um, and Legion himself is somewhat of an anti-hero with severe mental issues like dissociative identity disorder, and it's darker. It's a more it had a more nuanced direction, so it was fresh and intriguing to me, being that it was so different than some of the shows that came on the regular networks. And I was excited to see how the characters were going to develop. The bad guy was like this big, ugly ass fucking parasitic creature that was kind of hard to take your eyes off of because he was so um, intimidating, you know. Oh, he's so damn big and crazy looking. And then the show just got weirder and weirder as the seasons went on, and I lost direction of the show and the confusion. It felt like I was like on shrooms having a fucking psychedelic trip or something. So it was like, because it really was out there and they were doing all types of weird, trippy shit. Um, Fun fact: the Legion is the son of Professor X. I did not know that when I was watching the show. I looked that up. But yes, Legion is actually the son of the Professor X from X-Men. Wow. I don't even know how he pulled that one off being in the wheelchair, but hey, he's a mutant, so anything is possible. Sir, uh, you didn't see Legion, did you?
I did not. I did not see Legion, so I can't sit here and give you a truly great analysis on the selection and where you have it placed just because I haven't seen it.
Okay. All right. No, that is all cool. That is all cool. Did you hear anything about it? Sometimes you do find yourselves hearing things about these shows, even though you don't watch them.
I heard it was a really good show. I just heard that it's extremely complex. It's a little out there, so it's just a little weird. But if you're able to grasp the story and just really follow along and stay on it, because there's a lot of stuff that's thrown into it. But if
Yes.
you allow yourself to really stay on it, then it's a really really good show. I just haven't seen it.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that if you were to see it, you would be like, this is like they're kind of doing the most, you know. Like there
Hmm.
was a complicated storyline that we're following. I was watching and um, really trying to take it in and enjoying it, and then like I said, it just kind of flew off the rails to me, and got kind of convoluted with a lot of weird shit and visuals that they were throwing in there. To I think they were kind of overdoing it at that point. But that is the list on the 6 for 6 on our first installment of the segment. Young, did you have fun talking about this stuff with me today?
Yeah, of course. It's always fun talking to my brother about all types of shit.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what's up. I appreciate you for joining. Um, if you guys want to follow Young, are you a big tweeter?
I'm not, man. I just stay in the weeds.
Stay in the weeds. Anything you want
I
to
just
plug
like
right now?
that. Nah, man, nothing right now. I ain't got
Okay.
nothing. Just working in the background. I may have something soon.
All right, that's what's up. Well, y'all know where you can find me at Jalo Will on Instagram and on Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the pod. Everybody, thank you for I've been seeing the downloads. I was seeing you with me the first few weeks, so I appreciate that. We're going to keep coming, keep getting better and improving, so we can have fun every single episode. All right, and you know how we get down.
Sun's getting real low.
Holla.